What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, Finally, a reason to use my psych degree, with your favorite college graduate, Caitlin, with today's episode, Why Do People Do It? Love, Murder. Hey, everyone. I want to dive into something that hits close to home for me. True crime. Now, I'm talking true crime podcasts, true crime documentaries, true crime movies, and even reenactment movies. If it involves murder, I've probably watched it or listened to it. And to anyone, this may sound crazy. And to my boyfriend, he's pretty weirded out by my fascination and thinks I'm listening to the episodes to plot his demise. But I bet you that you're also entertained by murder. This love has hit many people and has rising popularity within the past few years. This week's episode, we will explore why that is and some unexpected facts about this cultivating trend. American Murderer, The Family Next Door. Killer Inside, The Mind of Aaron Hernandez. Ted Bundy, Falling for a Killer. The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. Tiger King. I wouldn't be surprised if you had watched at least one of these true crime stories, because they were some of the top rated shows to watch in the beginning of 2020. Do you all remember how everyone sat around during quarantine to binge watch Tiger King? It made social media explode with some of the best memes I've ever seen. But why are these shows so binge worthy? Well, there are a few theories. First is the fantasy of evil. This has been ingrained in all of us since we were little, the idea of good versus evil. It embodies the whole captivation of the true crime dynamic. It stems from the stories we were told growing up, whether that is from religion and heaven versus hell, or a more modern look like Drake and Josh versus Megan. We love the power struggle, even more when we can classify that the evil is pure, unthinkable, and lethal, which gives our hero that much more to overcome. Next is the media influence. If you were to turn on any news station right now, you would hear a murder. It doesn't surprise anyone anymore, and we've just expected it. This was done on purpose, though. During the boom of murders, and serial killers to be exact, around the 1950s to 1970s, the media understood that, quote, if it bleeds, it leads. And oh boy, did it lead. Crime was equated with fear during this time, and everyone tuned in to listen to the crimes happening in their neighborhood, with an increase in fear and ratings. Another is that we are glad we are not the victim. Some psychologists, and yes, there are others out there, say that one main reason for the obsession is that opportunity for people to be relieved they are not the bearer of ill will. True crime obsession is getting enjoyment from the troubled experience by other people. Quote, not necessarily sadistic, but if bad faith had to fall on someone, at least it fell on someone else. On the other side of the spectrum, we're glad we're not the offender. We get to feel empathy, and assuming you're no narcissist, you feel it. Some honorable mentions are the adrenaline junkies, who feel an euphoric influence on human emotions that true crime is close to that of a roller coaster or a natural disaster. There's an addictive rush that we feel that we must watch one more episode. And we couldn't forget the wannabe Sherlock Holmes. We want our brains to try to solve the murder and guess who did it before they announce it. And if you've ever watched Dateline, it will be a long time before they say it was the husband, so you have time to guess. The last one I will mention is feeling prepared. Now, this is where I want to take a right turn. The feeling of being prepared equates, for the most part, women. But most of the listeners are, in fact, women. A 2010 study found that about 70% of Amazon reviews of true crime books were by women. And fine, if you're someone who doesn't trust big Amazon, there was a study in 2010 by the University of Illinois that found that women were more likely to read true crime stories than men. And in fact, research and data has shown us that true crime genre has increased by 16% among women from 2018 to 2019. There's also been growing popularity of women in the criminal justice field. So something's going on here. There isn't some big media scam directed towards women to make this happen. Men are exposed to the same number of true crime ads on Netflix. However, women will seek out more forms of it and listen more often. What draws women to this topic exactly? Well, unfortunately, like many things in the world, it is unknown and debated. But here's some ideas of why. One idea is that women become a little too fascinated by the killers. For example, Ted Bundy. Women lined up outside of the courtrooms after he was caught just to get a glimpse of the man that was capable of all of these crimes against women. One would have thought that women would want to avoid him, but they didn't. Hybristophilia is the sexual attraction to people who have committed extraordinary crimes. Now, there aren't many studies or surveys out there containing how common this is, so for this idea, there isn't enough information to debunk it. But this idea isn't too far away from women having an attraction to villains in movies and shows, which does have evidence to support it. Another idea is that true crime helps women understand the killers. It is thought that when women watch shows, they can have a shot by shot of how to get away, and ideas of how the killer might be thinking if they were ever to encounter such a thing. This overarching idea that women can pick up survival techniques by watching shows. And watching a story about a boyfriend killing his girlfriend can show warning signs and help women with their anxieties. Yes, I believe there are common warning signs, and you should know them. But is watching a true crime story the best way to learn those? Maybe, maybe not. But I do have another issue. And would it surprise you to find out that true crime stories have a higher distribution of shows about the death of middle class white women? The disproportion has led to many shows about these populations, in fact, suffer much higher rates than these women aren't being talked about. They are getting better about this, though. Whatever theory you believe, facts are still facts. People love murder, and I know I do. After this, I will listen to my favorite murder podcast, and hopefully, their next episode isn't about you. Thanks for listening to my podcast, finally, a reason to use my psych degree. Stay tuned next Tuesday to see if I can find another.